Hi, I'm Shelley Wood, and this is my tiny sewing room where I make doll clothes sewing videos. Today I'm going to show you how to make a Sunday best bonnet for fashion dolls like Barbie, Momoko, Queens of Africa dolls, and similar sized fashion dolls. Before we begin this sewing project, please go to my website, shelleywood.com, to download and print this free PDF sewing pattern. Use the pattern to cut out 3 craft foam pieces, and these 6 pieces of fabric. Cotton works best for this. Now, I've had people ask me, how do you cut the center of a bonnet? And this is the bonnet brim piece, so you can see that I've cut it into a little T shape or a plus sign, and then I lay the pattern over it, use my fabric pencil to trace around where I want to cut. And I'm actually doing 2 pieces at once, so I've got the lining here and the outer piece of fabric, and I lay that over the top to see if it works, and you can see that I have 2 different fabrics that I actually cut out. For my hat, the eyelet is the outer fabric while the striped cotton is being used for the lining. Place an outer fabric top of the hat on top of the inner fabric, keeping right sides together. Sew 3/4 of the way around the outside. Carefully clip this seam. I'm using Fiskars stitchers to clip my seam. I love Fiskars stitchers for clipping, especially these teeny tiny little seams. If you don't have some, look in the description below my video on YouTube and you'll see that I offer a link to that particular pair of scissors. Invert the top part of the hat, like you see me doing right here. Press the seam with a small iron. Place the foam top piece inside the fabric top, which is what I'm doing here. Okay, and then what you're going to do is kind of roll the edges of the fabric inside. See that? You're going to roll those fabric edges inside, fold the opening inside the top of the hat, and whip stitch to seal it. If the foam doesn't fit nicely, you can always give it a little trim, or if it's too tight of a fit, just clip away extra foam. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just trimming away some so that I can fit the fabric down inside there. And you can see I had to do that twice. It just depends on how you cut it, you know. If you need help with the whip stitch, I do have a tutorial for that. Just look in the description below this video on YouTube. Here I am doing my whip stitch. And you just go round and round with the whip stitch to seal that shut. And that seals your foam inside. I also have a tutorial on how to tie a knot with needle and thread. There we go. Once you've sewn the top piece closed, lay one crown on top of another, keeping right sides together. And that's what I'm doing here. Sew along one of the longest sides of the crown. Open it up like this and press the seam to flatten it out. Slide the crown's foam piece inside and fold the raw edges under like we did with the top part of the hat, sealing the foam strip inside. Okay, so we're going to just fold it over the top, roll those little edges in, and we're closing it over the top of the foam piece like that. whip stitch to seal the foam between the two crowns. And that's what I'm doing here. Again, there's a tutorial for my whip stitch in the description below this video on YouTube. Here's how it will look after you sew it. Send a needle and thread through one end's opening, hiding your knot in the seam. Hold the hat's top piece next to the needle and sew edge to edge, attaching the crown to the top piece with another whip stitch. Whip stitch all the way around the top piece until your crown's ends meet up. Okay, so here I am whip stitching around until the crown's ends, the end of each end of the crown, will meet where you started. When the crowns come together, the ends of the crown comes together, you will discover that the crown might be a little bit too long. Trim off the extra bit, leaving about a ½ inch. Pinch these together like you see me doing here, and use a back stitch to join them. Next, we'll work with the brim pieces. Place the brim lining over the crown opening. So right now we're looking at the lining. Alright, here's my lining side of the crown and top, and there's my lining only for the brim. Stitch the bottom of the crown to the brim's lining's center opening, using a whip stitch all the way around. So here I am whip stitching that. It's okay to fold the brim a little so that you can get your fingers in there to whip stitch around. Sorry, I went off camera for a second there. Okay, now you can see I'm just kind of going all the way around it, and now your hat looks like this. Flip it over to look inside it like this. Clip around the seam you just stitched. Okay, so I'm going to just take my little Fisker stitchers and do some little clips to the inside part of the hat. Lay the outer brim piece on top of the brim's lining with the crown sandwiched in between them and the right sides together. Okay, that can be tricky to understand. So, right sides are together. Now I'm going to back stitch around the outer edge of the brim, sealing the crown in between the two brims. Once the outer edge has been sewn, it will look like this. It looks like you've trapped the top part of the hat inside. Okay, so here's how it looks so far. Clip the opening's edge where the hat's wrong side top is visible. Okay, so we're looking at the top of the hat on the wrong side, and we're doing a little clipping around it. You've clipped the inside part, but now you need to clip the outer seam all around the edges of the brim. And then invert the whole thing. So here I am inverting the brim. It's going to make sense about now. Fold the donut-shaped foam ring in half and slide it in between your two brims. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm kind of folding it in half, sticking it in there, and then you give it another opportunity to open it up from the inside. Okay? I'm trying to sandwich it in between. Now invert the crown and the hat top, popping them out through the hole. Okay, so we're gonna pop it through. Okay, notice I'm trying to fold. There we go. We're gonna pop it through. Then we're gonna fold all these little clips that we gave it. Each little clip, Poke the little flaps down for each clipping in between the brim and the crown. So you can see I'm tucking one under. Stitch to secure the edge where the brim and the crown come together. Now your hat looks like this on the outside and like this on the inside. You can consider it a finished hat, just like this example shows, or add a ribbon to give it some flair. And now you're ready to try it on a doll. For more free printable PDF sewing patterns to fit dolls of many shapes and all different sizes, please remember to visit my website, shelleywood.com. And incidentally, this whole outfit without the doll will be for sale in my store on Friday this week. It includes the hat and dress, but not the shoes.